Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can give them an applause. Please remain standing for the singing of the national and AU anthems. Thank you. You may be seated. Honorable Tom Alwendo, Minister of Mines and Energy of the Republic of Namibia, represented by the Honorable Deputy Minister Cornelia Kashimbinjola Shilunga, Mr. Jason Kasutu. Yes, ma'am, I got your name, the full one, the birth one. Mr. Jason Kasutu, Chairperson of the Economic Association of Namibia and host of the second Namibia Oil and Gas Conference. Mr. Hanns Seidel, CEO of the Economic Association of Namibia and host of the second Namibia Oil and Gas Conference. Ms. Nangula Wanja, Chief Executive Officer of the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, or in short, NIPDB, and partner host. Mr. Epson Wanguta, Managing Director, NAMCOR, and partner host. Mr. Shakwa Nyambe, Managing Partner, SNC Incorporated, and partner host. Ms. Maggie Shino, Petroleum Commissioner from the Ministry of Mines and Energy. His Excellency Dr. Umar Farouk Ibrahim, Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers. Industry leaders, speakers, moderators, valued sponsors, the organizing committee of the Oil and Gas Conference, our valued media partners, members of the online community, esteemed delegates and guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. I'm not so convinced by that greeting. I'll try again from my side. Good morning. Good morning. Much better. A heartfelt welcome to you all. My name is Rochelle Locke, your program director for the next 2 days, and it is indeed an immense honor to stand here before you as we embark on this significant journey together. As I said earlier, the second edition of the Oil and Gas Conference, hosted here in the capital of the vibrant and beautiful nation of Namibia. Today we gather not merely to discuss the future of oil and gas, of the oil and gas industry, but also to chart a course that will define our nation's path towards sustainable prosperity. This year, we convene under the powerful theme, the next steps towards a prosperous oil and gas industry to power Namibia's sustainable future. This theme is not just a statement of intent, it is a call to action. Namibia, with its rich natural endowments, strategic location, and steadfast dedication to sustainable development, is indeed the ideal host for such a critical gathering. Do you agree with me? I'll keep on trying during the day. It's still early. Our country, ladies and gentlemen, stands at the crossroads of opportunity and innovation, of offering a unique blend of stability, forward-thinking governance, and a deep respect for our environment. And this is exactly why Namibia is not only a gateway to Africa's energy future, but also a beacon of how that future can be shaped responsibly and inclusively. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have with us an assembly of some of the most influential minds in the industry, leaders who have not only the vision, but also the expertise to guide us through the complexities and opportunities that lie ahead. This conference, hosted by the Economic Association of Namibia in partnership with NIPDB and the Hanns Seidel Foundation, supported by our strategic partners NAMCOR and SNC Incorporated, represents a collective commitment to ensuring that our natural resources are harnessed in a way that not only benefit all Namibians, but will also contribute to the global energy landscape. So whether you are here with us in person or joining from afar via our online platform, your presence and participation are crucial. We're a community united by a shared vision, and it is through collaboration, dialogue, and mutual respect that we will achieve the breakthroughs necessary to power a sustainable future. Before we dive into the discussions ahead, allow me just to cover a few housekeeping points to ensure that our time together is both productive and comfortable. Restrooms are conveniently located just outside this hall, to your right, down the passage, and right again. So please feel free to step out anytime should you need to. We kindly request that you switch all mobile or tech devices on silent or on vibrate. For those attending in person, I believe that you would have or will receive your meal vouchers, which is included in your registration packs. So lunch and refreshments will be served in the designated dining area, which we will announce later. So please do present your voucher to receive your meal. Then, very important, to all our esteemed speakers and panelists, you have each been allocated specific time slots for your presentations. We kindly remind you to stay within those time frames to ensure that our schedule runs smoothly and that each voice is heard. So, I actually have, and if I can just ask my dear friend, Clemens. So, think of being on next to your favorite soccer team, watching them. So, I've got 2 cards. Again, this is for our speakers and presenters. The yellow card means 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes remaining. When I show you the red card, you'll go to the sin bin, because then you've overstepped your time. So let's work together on that one. There'll be ample time for networking during the coffee breaks and social events. So we really want to encourage you to take advantage of these moments to connect, to share insights, and to build lasting relationships. So ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this journey together, let's remain focused on the immense possibilities that lie ahead. With that, it is now my distinct pleasure to once again welcome you to this conference, to 2 days of impactful discussions, insightful presentations, and most importantly, collaborative efforts that will shape the future of Namibia's oil and gas industry. I expected you to at least give me a round of applause. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into the formal proceedings, I'm now pleased to introduce our very first speaker, a leader whose commitment to economic development and sustainable growth is well known. Jason Kasutu is a development finance, economic development, and public policy expert with over 15 years' experience in this field. As the chairperson of the Economic Association of Namibia, with the board and management of the EAN, he's been instrumental in building the EAN as a leading think tank in Namibia. Jason is also the founder and managing director of Monasa Advisory and Associates, or just Monasa, which is a leading Namibian consultancy and advisory firm specializing in research, ESG, and corporate finance advisory. Monasa is also the advisory firm and partner to the largest industry, private, public, and international multilateral agencies across Africa. Monasa has been a principal advisor across industries such as oil and gas, renewable energy, green hydrogen, mining, and infrastructure. In 2019, Jason was appointed as a member of the high-level panel on the Namibian economy. He was recently appointed as a commissioner on the Law Reform and Development Commission of Namibia, with a focus on legislative economic reform. He's a keynote speaker at various national and international platforms on issues pertaining to economics and development finance. Jason holds a master's degree in development finance, a postgraduate diploma in development finance, both from the University of Stellenbosch, a master's degree in public administration from the University of Western Cape, and a BA Honours in Development Studies from the University of the Western Cape. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Jason Kasutu, Chairperson of the Economic Association of Namibia, to deliver the welcome and opening remarks. Let's give Mr. Kasutu a warm round of applause.
Unfortunately, being the first speaker, you can't stand by the protocol observed. So I need to make sure that I acknowledge everyone correctly, and please take no offense but appreciation if I've missed your name. It is not on purpose. His Worship, the Mayor, but firstly, Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy, Honorable Cornelia Shilunga, His Worship the Mayor, Honorable Philippus Belhau, as well as the Deputy Mayor of Lüderitz, both of Lüderitz, Honorable Anna Marie Hetzenberg, Chairperson of the Management Committee of Lüderitz Town Council, we say Memenangula, so we say Menangula Wanja, CEO of the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, board members of the Economic Association of Namibia, as well as our CEO, Mr. Hanns Karamata, the chairperson of the board of NAMCOR, Ms. Florencia Amwenye, as well as the managing director or acting managing director of NAMCOR, Mr. Epson Wanguta, Ms. Maggie Shino, the Petroleum Commissioner, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, Mr. Adriano Bastos, Head of Upstream Galp Energies, Mr. Shakwa Nyambe, Managing Partner at SNC Incorporated, our key sponsors, international guests. If I really go through this list, I'll take up too much of your time in just trying to do a simple task of welcoming you all. I think, importantly, it's very encouraging to see the room full, and I'm sure that we gain momentum as the next 2 days continue. But in being able to set the scene, and in an effort to actually answer the question, why, plus giving you a warm, deserved welcome, let me take a bit of time just to touch on the why. This year's second edition of the Namibia Oil and Gas Conference 2024 is aptly themed the next steps towards a prosperous oil and gas industry to power Namibia's sustainable future. This really requires us to be able to locate the meaning in certain keywords that have been used in that theme. The question is, can the oil and gas industry be prosperous if the nation is not prosperous? Most definitely it can. After all, we can safely assume that for most part, Namibia has had a prosperous mining industry.
Recording in progress.
Has that equated to a prosperous nation? These are some of the difficult questions we need to ask ourselves. Therefore, maybe we should ask ourselves the question, what is a prosperous nation, and what does a prosperous Namibia look like? According to our Human Development Index, Namibia is rated at 0.610, which puts us in the medium bracket. We rank 142 out of 193 countries. And it is quite a feat from 1990, from independence to where we are currently. Now, with the abundant resources that we've got, a stable democratic dispensation, in fact, some of my friends from the continent often make a joke. It's not a joke, it's in that way, but the way in which we were able to apply agility when our former head of state had passed on and transition to a new head of state within 24 hours was something that they often said to me is a triumph. Coupled with a healthy and welcoming investment environment, an independent judiciary, property rights, and an advanced financial system, where is the challenge? Then, perhaps, in answering that, the challenges are probably more underpinned in terms of the economic structure that is able to take us towards that prosperous nation. And what would that be defined by? A strong, number one, firstly, a strong diverse economy, a social fabric that is underpinned by a good measure of public investment in quality, health, education, and social justice that ensures access for all, environmental sustainability, political stability and governance, cultural richness, and social cohesion. That's the prosperity we're talking about. So will the oil and gas exist in Namibia within this prosperity? Yes, it can. I'm certain that all players, local and international, are aligned with the need for ensuring sustainability. We have witnessed in other nations how citizens have watched the rigs and the tankers operate and leave their shores with the hydrocarbons, while at the same time witnessing an influx of foreign nationals driving big cars, living very well, working for the oil companies amidst a local citizenry living in a squalor of poverty. And this has resulted in regime change. Therefore, growth in GDP, taxes and royalties alone will not automatically result in the growth being inclusive growth. The reality is that given the recent discoveries that still need to be commercially actualized, can and will Namibia be able to absorb, accommodate, and service the oil and gas industry support requirements in order to create real, visible value in the country? Once we can answer that fundamental question and begin to focus on 4 key elements: 1, knowledge and skills transfer; infrastructure; capital mobilization; and strategy, specifically in-country value creation strategy, we will then begin the journey towards addressing the theme of this conference. The mandate of the Economic Association of Namibia is to be a catalyst in the economic development agenda of the country, to serve as a think tank that, amongst others, ensures that conversations that take place between private, public, and civil society sectors reach policy. Hence, our hosting of the 2nd edition of the Namibia Oil and Gas Conference as part of the EAN's annual conference is how we bring our mandate to reality. This year we have witnessed an oversubscription. We had planned for 700. Yesterday the team informed me that we are at 930, which created a bit of nerves. But this really speaks to a threefold reality. 1, Namibia wants to be ready. 2, the international community and players want to know how ready Namibia is. And 3, all these parties want to see a sustainable, realistic roadmap that engenders a future successful case study, being Namibia's oil and gas sector. I think we have that commonality. As an Economic Association of Namibia, we have endeavored without any compromise to ensure that this conference targets the 4 elements I mentioned earlier: knowledge transfer, infrastructure requirements, capital mobilization, and in-country value creation strategy is really what we are trying to spark conversation around over the 3 days, with the master classes starting yesterday. These 3 days encompass really an ecosystem that comprises of master classes, sharing of lessons of experience from a lineup of over 60 distinguished speakers, an unparalleled networking opportunity, exhibitor showcasing, which is a new addition to this year, and ultimately insights that will guide national policy and strategy. Of course, making the EAN's mandate a reality has required the invaluable partnership with the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, the Hanns Seidel Foundation, and strategic partnerships with NAMCOR and SNC Incorporated. I'm very happy to announce, as we had also shared with the Honorable Minister of Mines and Energy 2 weeks ago in our debrief session, that the Namibia Oil and Gas Conference will now become an annual event, and the date for next year's conference will be announced during the course of the next 2 days. In conclusion, I'm wishing you the next 2 days of stimulating, value-adding discussions, networking, and enjoyment. Welcome to Namibia's premier oil and gas platform. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kasutu, for setting the stage so eloquently. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought it was just a Trump thing, but I have taken note that if you want to tag, so any pictures or anything on social media platforms, it's Namibia OGC 24. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but yes, you've probably noticed that as well. Namibia OGC 24, but we still Namibia. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, a visionary leader who has been instrumental in driving investment and economic development in Namibia. Ms. Nangula Wanja, a chartered accountant by profession, is the CEO and chairperson of the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board. NIPDB, a public entity in the presidency, is tasked with the mandate of promotion and facilitating foreign and domestic investments, as well as promotion of the development of MSMEs. Until December 2020, Nangula served as a partner at PwC Namibia with over 20 years' experience in auditing, and has served as lead partner on audits of organizations across various sectors and industries. She's also been involved in non-audit work such as business advisory services, fraud investigation, presentations on the roles and responsibilities of directors, and a host of other related topics. Nangula was named Namibia's Businesswoman of the Year in 2011. Besides playing a role on the accounting auditing professional bodies, such as the Institute of Chartered Accountants and the Public Accountants and Auditors Board, she also served as a member of the Tax Court Appeal and was appointed as a member of the first Public Office Bearers Remuneration and Benefits Committee by the President of the Republic of Namibia from 2006 to 2009. As the dynamic CEO of NIPDB, she brings a wealth of experience and insight into the strategic direction of our nation's growth. Please join me in warmly welcoming Ms. Nangula Wanja, who will guide us through the objectives and expected outcomes of this crucial conference.
Thank you very much, Roche. Good morning. I am like Roche, I like attention. So when I greet, I actually expect to be greeted back. Good morning. Good morning. But I'm still stuck in the yellow and the red cards. Did Jason get a yellow card? May I borrow some of his minutes so that I don't get one? So we had a session at work about 2 weekends ago, and I was dishing out yellow and red cards to people for being on their phone while we are having a conference, a meeting and so forth. The bad news is I did not tell them at the beginning what the punishment is. It's 2 weeks later, they are yet to receive the punishment. But it is interesting because I tell people I'm an auditor by profession, so I am supposed to be disciplined, and I'm usually disciplined except when I speak about what I'm passionate about. And then I tell people I'm an introvert, but then they don't believe me because when I'm passionate, I speak like an extrovert. So today is one of my passionate topics, and I'm excited to be here with you, and I'm excited, of course, to join Jason in welcoming all of you. The good news is I can stand on the protocol already observed. So I will just welcome our Honorable Deputy Minister. Thank you very much for joining us and for being part of this session. And of course, thank you to all our sponsors who are represented here today and who have decided to participate and to support us on this program. As NIPDB, we are excited to partner with the Economic Association of Namibia, the Hanns Seidel Foundation, NAMCOR, SNC Incorporated, and then, of course, having the endorsement of our ministry. Last year we were here, and I think we were asking ourselves, apparently, or telling ourselves, apparently, they have found oil in Namibia. And apparently, it seems that there is something there. So, what now? This year, it looks like we have moved beyond apparently. And this year, we understand it is confirmed that there is oil off the coast of Namibia. It is confirmed that it's of significant quantum. However, can we produce it commercially? Will we be able to get the price that goes above the cost of the production? I think that is the question. And now, of course, as Namibia, we stand at the crossroads. In my language, we will say, "Otulipo katika mwaka na mwaka." We need to decide which way are we going to go. Are we going to sit down and wait to be told there is oil, it can be produced commercially, and then we start planning?
Or are we going to plan as if there is oil? There is a saying that says that once you overspend,
the CFO,
let us train
and invest in our people.
And the CFO said, what if we train and invest them and they leave? And the CEO said, what if we don't train them and they stay? So, I think that is where we are.
What if we don't plan?
What if we don't have conversations like this? What if we don't invest? And then we are told, where is oil? We are starting to produce, or we need to produce tomorrow. But then there is no policy, there is no infrastructure, there are no skills, there is no this, there is no that. And therefore, I think by being here today, you have joined us in making a decision that let us rather plan as if Namibia.
What are you hearing on Zoom?
An oil-producing country.
And of course, we believe that we are blessed, and we believe
So what
that
echo
we
are
are
you
favored.
hearing?
And therefore, let us not stand on luck. Let us stand on that blessings and favor. And then let us do our part in planning for success.
So today, let us have that belief. That is why we are having this conference. The fact that, and I understand this new figure, my understanding was at least 850, and I am very, very pleased that more than, or at least up to 60% of that 850 is Namibia. And yes, we have got quite a presence of the international community with 40% representation. And therefore, we need to make sure that we deliberate and collaborate in a manner that brings up the possibilities of achieving the expected outcomes of this conference. What are the expected outcomes of this conference? We know that we understand that countries have had two ways. Some countries that have found oil and gas, they prospered, they grew, and they developed their economies. Other countries were not so happy. I don't think we as Namibia will depend on luck. We are already blessed first with the rule of law, with peace, with stability, with security. And of course, it is important that we retain and build on those characteristics.
As the late president also used to say, institutions, systems, and processes. We need to strengthen institutions, systems, and processes to make sure that Namibia does not lose her DNA because of the finds or discoveries of oil and gas. We need to be good stewards of these resources that God has entrusted on us. God has entrusted us with minerals. We talk about solar, wind, and other energy resources. And then, of course, we are now talking about oil and gas. Are we going to be good stewards? I understand there is 60% Namibians in the room, so this question belongs to all of us. And therefore, we need to make sure that we are good stewards. And how can we do that? Number one, yes, by building institutions, systems, and processes, by making sure that we identify the right partners, by making sure that we negotiate mutually beneficial contracts, by making sure that Namibians who are the real owners of the resources enjoy the full benefit. But of course, Namibians, you cannot enjoy these resources if you do not make sure that you seize the opportunities that are offered. The extent to which you will enjoy this benefit is determined by your own preparations. The government can prepare, the private sector can support, but each and every one of us have a responsibility. And then, of course, we want to make sure that future generations of Namibians are also able to enjoy the benefits of these resources. If and when these resources are exhausted, we don't want them to say, oh, apparently Namibia was, and apparently our forefathers enjoyed, but today we are in poverty. We want them to say, it was not apparent, we are feeling it, we are enjoying it, and we see the benefits. And that is why the government has started with the Sovereign Wealth Fund, where we understand that the seed that was grown has grown, that was sown has grown, and now the Sovereign Wealth Fund is about 400 million. And we have not yet started with the benefits that are coming from various resources. What is the focus of these conferences, and how will we organize ourselves to make sure that we achieve those objectives? We have kind of 4 agendas. Yesterday there were master classes, and it was great to see that it was very well organized. We had good participation and attendance. Today we are having the conference, today and tomorrow. There is exhibitions that is there. And then networking opportunities. Namibians, here's an opportunity for you to find foreign partners, to make sure that we understand, yes, this is new to us. Find out people that are coming from countries that are already producing oil. How did they behave? And how did they make sure that they benefited when the news was apparent and it moved from apparent to actual? Many times as Namibians we ask, yeah, government is not doing. Government is not doing. And sorry again to say this in my language, whenever something happens, it doesn't matter what. Sometimes the rain doesn't rain, and you say, how many of you have you heard that one? So it means like the government must consider, it must see something is wrong here, the government must investigate. Even when rain doesn't rain, we ask government must see something is not right here. We don't know what government has to do with that one, but we give government lots of responsibilities. And of course, we need to hold government accountable. We vote for them and we elect them so that they can deliver for us. But there are areas where they make sure that they create a conducive environment, and that conducive environment then is for us to seize those opportunities. I think I have said enough already. Before I see a card coming, and I know Cons, Feni, and Clemens are saying, Nangola, you have said everything except the objectives of this conference. So let's understand, what are the objectives of this conference? The objectives of this conference are fourfold. Number one, we want to foster strategic partnerships and to make sure that we drive investment and technological advancement into the oil and gas industry of Namibia. Number two, we want to explore opportunities for local content development and capacity building, and ensuring that Namibians are at the forefront of this industry. Only that way will it remain sustainable, and only that way will we ensure that it will be a blessing and not a curse? Because if we exclude Namibians from this industry, they might just find a way to include themselves. So let us make sure that we include them. Number 3, the objective is to facilitate a dialogue on the future of energy in Africa, with a particular focus on balancing the economic growth with environment stewardship. And I know many people ask, Namibia, you are driving hydrogen, but then you are saying you're still getting the oil out of the ground. What is this paradox? I think usually our Minister of Mines and Energy and our ministry have got a very good response to that question. We are energy poor in Africa, and at this time, we need to make sure that we meet the needs of the African people and the needs of the Namibian people, while at the same time making sure that we continue to play not only in the present, but in the future. And therefore, in 2 weeks' time, we are going to have a green hydrogen conference at the same venue. Please join us. The last objective is to strengthen Namibia's position as a hub for energy. We say we want to become the sustainable energy capital of Africa, including oil and gas activities in the region, and thereby contributing to the socio-economic development of Namibia and being a significant contributor to Africa and to the world at large. Thank you very much.
Well, she said it herself. She's an auditor and well within time. So thank you once again to Ms. Wanja for outlining the roadmap for our discussions the next 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now with great respect that I introduce our keynote speaker, a man whose leadership and dedication to the sustainable development of Namibia's natural resources have been instrumental in positioning our country on the global energy map. Honourable Tom Alwendo, Minister of Mines and Energy of the Republic of Namibia, whose keynote address will now be delivered on his behalf by the Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy, Honourable Cornelia Kashimbinjola Shilunga.
Madam Director of Ceremonies, Rochelle Rock, Mr. Kasuto, the chairperson of the chairperson, who did my salutations, by the way? His Worship the Mayor, Honorable Philippus Albertus Balao, Mayor of Ludretz, and your Deputy Mayor, and also the Chairperson of the Management Committee of the Ludretz Town Council. Mr. Jason Kasuto, the Chairperson of Economic Association of Namibia. Now I got it right. Madam Nangula Wanja, our CEO for NIPDB, Madam Maggie Shino, Petroleum Commissioner from the Ministry of Mines and Energy, Mr. Kons Karamata, the CEO for Economic Association of Namibia, Mr. James Mupe, Presidential Economic Advisor, Office of the President, Madam Florencia Hamwenye, the Chairperson of the Board of Directors of NAMCOR and other members of the board, Mr. Epson Wanguta, the Acting Managing Director of NAMCOR, Mr. Adriano Bastos, Head of Upstream GAP Energies, Mr. Shakwa Nyambe, Managing Partner, SNC Mr. Johan Barnard, the CEO for Momentum Short-Term Insurance, Madam Nilian Mulemi, the CEO for Petrofund Namibia, Your Excellency Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, the Secretary General for African Petroleum Producers, Mr. Ejik Egubao, the CEO and the co-founder of Moneda Invest from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Engineer Elizabeth Rogo, founder and Chief Executive Officer, Tsavo Oilfield Services, the Republic of Kenya, member of the international and diplomatic communities, senior representatives of oil companies, captain of industries, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. That was a good one. I hope you learned from the previous speakers. My name is Cornelia Shilunga, as I was introduced. I'm the Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy, and I'm here representing my minister, Honorable Tom Arendo, who is not able to be with us this morning. I will read his speech as he has prepared it. Welcome to Namibia. Who is in Namibia for the first time? Wow, can we give them hands, please? Thank you so much. Such a number is very good for us. It gives me a great pleasure to speak to you on this occasion of the Namibia Oil and Gas Conference 2024. I would like to thank NIPDB, the Economic Association of Namibia, and the Hanns Seidel Foundation for organizing this important oil and gas forum. I would like to thank you all for your attendance, and special thanks to those who are visiting us from different parts of the world, especially those that were just raising their hands now, visiting Namibia for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, amid the turmoil of global geopolitics, Namibia continues to be a developing bright spot in the future of global energy supply. It is indeed an interesting time for our country. I believe this forum offers us all a unique opportunity to share ideas on how we can play our various roles in enabling our country to leverage its petroleum resources to attain socio-economic development while providing energy to the world. I have found the theme for this year's conference, the next step towards a prosperous oil and gas industry to power Namibia's sustainable future, to be fitting as Namibia moves towards oil and gas development and production phases. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to use my keynote address today to highlight 3 issues that I consider to be relevant to the theme of this year. The first issue is that effective management of the Namibian oil and gas resources is a prerequisite to attain a prosperous oil and gas industry for all. The second issue is that international oil companies and oil service companies shall have to play a key role to ensure local prosperity. The third issue is that our national oil company, NAMCOR, must be a meaningful vehicle for state equity participation in petroleum licenses to ensure oil and gas prosperity for all Namibians. Ladies and gentlemen, on the first issue, good governance of our upstream petroleum sector is imperative to ensure that economic benefits related to the exploitation of Namibia's oil and gas resources are shared fairly and equitably. We are fully aware that the emerging petroleum industry will bring not only transformational opportunities, but also challenges. There are many examples around the world whereby oil and gas exploitation have negative socioeconomic and political impacts. Therefore, we should not take the resource scarce lightly, and we must learn from others' experiences. Now, good governance of our petroleum sector requires all of us to play our respective roles. From the government perspective, it entails that we should have a clear national goals to ensure sustainable exploitation of our country's oil and gas resources. Like Norway, to ensure that our petroleum resources are exploited optimally and responsibly. The government have considered several oil and gas management principles, or oil commandments, as one might call them, to be ideal for our developing national petroleum policy. In this respect, we consider that effective stewardship of our oil and gas resources should be prioritized at all levels of petroleum activities in Namibia. The discovered oil and gas should be exploited in such a manner to make Namibia energy independent. Number 3, our upstream oil and gas sector should be leveraged to fast-track industrialization, economic diversification, and job creation through active participation of all Namibians in the sector's value chain. Number 4, the conservation of our oil and gas resources should be prioritized by requiring petroleum license holders to reduce economic waste through optimum exploration strategy and depletion rate. Number 5, we should strive to ensure that oil and gas production does not distort our country's economy. Number 6, local value creation should be prioritized by ensuring that produced oil and gas is processed in Namibia as much as it is operationally and economically possible. Number 7, the conservation of the social and natural environment should be prioritized in all oil and gas activities. Number 8, flaring of natural gas outside operational necessities should be prohibited in line with our existing petroleum legislation. Number 9, onshore processing of natural gas should be prioritized to facilitate the long-term development of midstream and downstream industries. Number 10, the state through state entities such as NAMCOR and NAMPORT should actively participate in the development of critical common use oil and gas infrastructures. Number 11, our national oil company, NAMCOR, should safeguard the state's commercial interest in all oil and gas activities. Number 12, oil and gas revenues should be managed to improve the living standard of both current and future generations of Namibia. Ladies and gentlemen, we envisage these 12 pillars and 12 commandments to be the foundational principles of our national oil and gas policy. However, to achieve these noble objectives It requires a collective effort between the government, oil industry players, and Namibian entrepreneurs. And this brings me to the second issue. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark upon this critical journey towards common prosperity from the Namibian oil and gas industry, we expect the international oil companies, both petroleum license holders and service providers, to play a critical role. To achieve local prosperity from oil and gas exploitation, it is imperative that oil industry players contribute to capacity building of Namibians and produce their goods and services from local suppliers as much as possible. With regard to capacity building, we expect that oil companies recruit talented Namibians to ensure that meaningful skills and knowledge is transferred. Disappointingly, I have learned that some oil industry players are merely fronting Namibians in positions, and some are even reluctant to employ Namibians. I particularly would like to say that the government expects all our oil industry players to be transparent and fair in their recruitment processes. Ideally, all vacant positions should be advertised in the local media to ensure that Namibians who meet minimum requirements from all corners of the country have equal employment opportunity. It is a known fact that a large portion of in-country value creation in the oil industry comes through supply chains. However, we are still in the process of developing our local content policy. And despite this, it must be noted that our existing petroleum legislation has local content provisions. Specifically, oil industry players should procure Namibian goods and services. Therefore, while we are finalizing our local content policy, we expect that all oil industry players comply with these provisions. Our local content policy will just fortify the existing local content provisions. The aim is not only to align our local content policy with international best practices, but also to deliver more business and more jobs for our people in Namibia. In the meantime, the oil industry players should ensure local prosperity through compliance, transparency, equity, and mutual interest. Ladies and gentlemen, on the third and final issue I would like to talk about is the state equity participation in petroleum licenses. As I mentioned earlier, one of our envisaged national oil and gas commandments is for NAMCOR to be the government's commercial vehicle that play a pivotal role in the development of petroleum resources in Namibia. Therefore, like most oil-rich nations, our vision is to build a technically and financially capable national oil company that can effectively manage our country's petroleum resources on behalf of the citizens of Namibia. Thus, we aspire for NAMCOR to play a key role in safeguarding state interests in the petroleum licenses. We believe that this would enable NAMCOR to bring about oil prosperity for all Namibians by fueling our economic growth and providing revenue to the state. To achieve these national strategic objectives, we expect NAMCOR to continue enhancing its governance by being more transparent in managing national oil and gas assets. We are also optimistic that NAMCOR will build the required human and institutional capacity to guarantee national oil and gas prosperity. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say we navigate the next step towards oil and gas prosperity in Namibia, and we should be guided by transparency, by equity, and the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. I am optimistic that we will use these 2 days to network and share ideas that will enable us to achieve common prosperity from Namibia's oil and gas industry. And I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Shilunga, for delivering those inspiring words that remind us of the immense potential that lies before us on behalf of the Minister, Honorable Tom Alwendo. Ladies and gentlemen, now as we prepare to pause for a short break, I would like to, at this juncture, invite our media to please take their positions. If you exit this venue, just to your right, Paul is there to guide you. So if our media can make their way out so long to set up, and that is for our photo session and the official ribbon cutting. So all our media currently in the venue, please make your way to where the official ribbon cutting will take place. I would now also like to invite the Honourable Deputy Minister and her delegation in the names of Jason Kasuto, Cons Karamata. I see James is not here. Honourable Councillor Philippus Albertus Balhau and the Mayor and his Deputy, Nilian Mulemi, Nangula Wanja, Epson Wanguta, Clemens von Dodra, and Shakwa Nyambe. If you would kindly join the Honourable Deputy Minister for that photo session, which will take place in the foyer, and that is also then combined with the official inauguration tour of our exhibition, which is graciously sponsored by our strategic partner, Total Energies. And I believe that Total Energies has a cute cup, a recyclable cup, so please hold on to your cup. You can move around with that throughout the day, that they've also made part of this wonderful 2 days. So if our high-level delegation can please leave the room for now. While the Honourable Deputy Minister leaves with her delegation, I also request our delegates to make use of this excellent opportunity now to network, to refresh and explore the innovations that we are shaping or that are shaping the future of the oil and gas industry here in Namibia. A special announcement to all our exhibitors: kindly take your places at your exhibition stands. And then, ladies and gentlemen, very importantly, we are now at 10:20. We will reconvene here for the next session at exactly 11 o'clock. So kindly make your way back to your seat. Just before 11, we will reconvene at exactly 11. Enjoy the refreshments.